Attention, all you fishes in the sea. Welcome to the Fisch Bowl with Sam Fisher.
What's up, all my fishes in the sea? You heard it from the Wishmaster himself. I'm your host, Sam Fisch. Thanks for tuning in to the Fisch Bowl. Today's guests are special makeup effects legends Robert Kurtzman and Marcy King, aka the creators of the Wishmaster himself. On today's episode, we talk about their latest film, Marshmallow, now available on Paramount Plus with Showtime, as well as some other streaming platforms. You are not going to want to miss this interview. We talk about a lot of other cool stuff over the course of their careers. Check it out. Robert Kurtzman and Marcy King on the Fisch Bowl. Robert, once again, Marcy, it's a pleasure I know we met at Horror Realm with Robert way back, what was that, like 2017, 2018?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you guys, back on the show. And obviously, you can see in my background, I'm representing the former K&B and Robert's work with Dusk Till Dawn and Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Which Army of Darkness poster is that?
Let me see if I can.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Never seen that one.
Yeah, and that's a little cooler version of the Dusk Till Dawn.
I love the collage. Yeah, that's cool.
Yes. I had the pleasure of meeting Juliette Lewis last year for the first time, and she was dream to meet in person. Truly nice, down-to-earth human being, and of course, working on Dusk Till Dawn and Natural Born Killers and everything else she's done. I'm a big fan of hers and also her late father, Jeffrey Lewis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But enough about that. Let's get into Marshmallow. I just rewatched the film this morning to refresh myself with it again, and I really, really enjoyed it a lot. I have in my notes here, the first thing I wanted to bring up on the topic of special effects was the opening. The part where the water, like Morgan, the main character, lifts up his shirt and the water's like, coming out of his chest.
Right. The great part about that one is that we were able to use my grandson, James, to come in and do a body cast. Now, these guys are 12, 13 years old, and my grandson is 9 at the time and the size of a 14-year-old. So we were able to use his body cast. So we cast him from the neck down, his whole torso, so that we could make that prosthetic, because it was a full-on wrap around. We've got some BTS photos of Bob and I putting it on, and had to stand in water. They actually have the bed and everything in a big water tank pool that they made with a black lining. It was amazing. And that was such a great time to shoot. Q, our actor, was so excited to be able to interact with a prosthetic like that. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So yeah, we had it hooked up to a water rig, a pump rig, and would just pump it out, and it would recirculate the water from the tank and then pump it out his stomach. And of course, when he put his hands over it or did anything like that, it would deflect and then shoot him in the face. And he would be like,
So a lot of that's real.
Yeah.
Because he's like, no. So that was fun.
The movie that I wanted to say it reminded me the most, and this shows a big horror sci-fi film nerd I am, Videodrome.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the moment I saw the effect, and especially being like how it was in the stomach, like in the water coming out, Videodrome is probably my favorite David Cronenberg, and especially for effects artists and that movie of like the time, the effects were, some of it might look a little campy today, but most of it is like, it's like Blade Runner,
Yeah.
like it still holds up.
Right.
Like the thing in
Yeah.
the Carpenter film, but the scene where like James Woods is like messing around with his hand with the gun and scratching at
Yeah.
his chest, and then sticks his hand in his chest and everything. I was like almost like, is he gonna stick his hand in his chest? Is he gonna stick his But then I saw the water come out, and I was like, this. That was like the effect that it reminded me of, as like a homage to,
Right.
like
There were some scenes shot of that, I believe, because Bob would be pumping the water and I was in resetting every single time. And there were a couple of scenes when Danny Del Purgatorio, our director, asked Q, like before it was really bubbling, is to kind of dig his fingers in a little bit, and so we tested a lot of different shots on that. And I mean, no matter what, it's just, the lighting and everything, it was fun. Yeah, it's disturbing.
Yeah, that by far was probably my favorite effect in the film. Another thing I really loved about it was horror OG actor Corbin Burnson. I
The
love
dentist himself.
the dentist himself, exactly. You took the words literally right out of my mouth.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, Corbin, we worked with Corbin on The Curse, Showtime, Nathan Felder, Emily Stone, and he's incredible to work with. We've seen him at conventions and chatted with him, and then to show up on set and Corbin's there again, it was so great. He's so fun. His grandpa in the dream sequence, I have BTS video because I was entranced at his transformation of just, getting in there.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He gave it. Boy, he really did. Yeah.
And I know that you guys worked on Tales from the Hood too, but Corbin's performance in part one was my
I
favorite.
totally forgot about that. Yeah. Well, that wasn't a segment that we worked on. It's with the puppet people, right?
Right.
He's the racist guy that
Which one was
all
it?
the
Sorry.
all the little
I didn't hear the title.
Tales from the Hood.
Tales from the Hood.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But it was two.
Yeah. No, part one.
Part one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I initially said I know
Yeah.
you guys worked on part two, but
No, K&B did part one as well. We had a bunch of stuff in that. I did the guy who melts into the guy who gets hit with the needles. He melts into the wall.
Yes.
And that zombie look and stuff.
Right. Yeah, we did two where it was whipping and we shredded a guy's chest entirely and his guts fall out.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that franchise.
Yeah. We were on Haunting of a Hill House at that time. And actually Bob was so busy. We got it in and we got a call from Rusty.
Right.
And so I talked to him and we figured it out how to, part off one of our crew members to go on set and do it and sent him the videotape for the test and they went crazy. And so we knew we were on the right track with that one. That was a lot of fun.
And Rusty, another Pittsburghie.
Right.
Yes.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah. I've been a big fan of those films, and Corbin's performance in part one, which Rob and me were I think got a little confused with the segue, but him as like the former Klan member, that was like running for some type of
like governor or something.
Governor or senator, and he moves to the house that's like formerly a slave plantation.
Right. Now I remember. Yeah.
All the dolls came in, like, got him at the end and everything. Like that was my favorite segment in the original Tales from the Hood. And my second favorite was actually, like, I guess it would be in which is in part two, which is like essentially the sequel in a sense to that story.
Right.
Because the main doll is like featured again, like in the segment. I forget what the segment's called, but that was my favorite segment in the part two as well. Let's see, the other actor who I was actually really surprised to see in the role that he was in was Paul Soder.
Paul
Yeah,
Soder. Yeah.
I am a big fan of Broken Lizard and everything that they've done. But then the thing that I wanted to follow it up with, if you remember correctly about Paul, he ended up being the killer in Club Dread.
Okay.
Okay.
So I was like, well, now it's kind of coming back to me, and I can see where he can kind of channel this, like, little little darker presence,
Right.
the more
Right.
comedic, meow, see here,
Yeah. Yeah. He was a lot of fun to work with. He was so great. I mean, honestly, I'm not kidding. It is definitely one of those productions that we both can say we got along with everyone. We had a really great family unit. They filmed it in a camp that was turned into a public park, but also I think they're going to start doing some day camp stuff after we were there and they could repair some buildings and things. And it just was a great, like I said, family unit.
Yeah, there was
and
there was
actors and
no
crew.
bad eggs.
We all
Everybody
got along. Yeah, it was pretty incredible. And then we had our older counselors and our younger peeps, which was cool because at the time they were 12, 13, 14. There might have been a 15-year-old in there, but they were all about the same age. And to see them, interact was really cool. I mean, the boys,
Right.
they were boys, believe me. I got a few BTS photos of them, acting like boys. So it was pretty fun. Q, though, our lead, just one of those amazing young actors that has amazing parents that support him and encourage him. And he's just a lovely human being. So
Awesome.
can't say enough about him.
Well,
he's also my height now, whereas he was down to here.
Oh,
in 2 years. Yeah. We have pictures together, and he signed our poster for Marshmallow. It was the first signing that he did.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was great.
I was gonna say I got a very like Goonies, Monster Squad, like mixed with like a little bit of Friday the 13th with like the camp and everything, feel. And then the ending, the twist. I wrote a note to comment about this. There were two. There's like I guess it would be like the climax, and then like the new normal.
The reveal.
The reveal, right. The whole analogy the character Franklin was giving to Q and Morgan, his character, and the other, his love interest character, I forget her name. Right. With the Coco.
Yeah, that's her real name.
Yeah. With the Coco and how he was like kind of presenting it. And then like even the ending really like emphasized on where I'm going with this, but it was like the Matrix with the red pill and the blue pill.
That's it. Yeah. That's absolutely.
That's cool.
I think I love how it goes in one way and you get your scary story and you really think it's going to be about a monster and, something coming after the kids, which you think it is, but then it's not. So it's like that halfway through twist, not similar to Dusk Till Dawn, but you know what I'm saying? It
Right.
Halfway where you're questioning everything, which is funny because they put that on the poster. Question everything because in the end you're like, wait, what?
And then the ending on another sci-fi film note, you probably even, well, it's big now because of HBO, but Westworld.
Yeah.
I got a very like, the ending was like totally, it reminded me more of like the original, what I guess going back to the 70s.
Stepford Wives.
Yeah.
Stepford Wives, yeah.
Stepford Wives, that too. Yeah. It was very much
That's
like
not
No, Westworld.
Westworld
Is Yul Brynner. That's what I'm saying. That's our era of Westworld, for sure. Yeah.
Right. That's
shock of that when you're watching that for the
Exactly.
first time. Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of the HBO series, don't get me wrong. I think the writing was excellent. I really wish we got like the final season before they canceled it, but the original Westworld film from your era, my dad's era,
Thanks.
second gen, you know, was way better. It was way scarier, and it was just the effects, the look of Yul Brenner when they finally like reveal like the face like turns like
Yep.
that, and how like the robotic wiring was kind of
Yeah.
looked and everything.
Fiction.
Yeah, like essentially the first Terminator, you know. Before
Yeah.
there was the Terminator, there was Yul Brenner.
There's your bird. It's true.
Yeah, it was more like, but that effect, because of the era it came from, was more like the $6 Million Man episode with the Saxton.
Yeah.
Isn't it Saxton whose face comes off and he's a partial
Yeah, I
robot?
believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
yeah, my
yeah,
era.
yeah. Well, I watched the reruns, and then the other thing to throw towards Ramiro is the suit that they all wore. Reminded me of the Crazies.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The white suits. The
Oh.
original Crazies.
Yes.
Not so much the remake, which I love the remake.
Which we love the remake. We just watched it about.
But yeah, totally. It's the kind of almost gas mask look and the white suits. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the biggest things that I took away and really liked about the film. I do have like a good list of some other stuff you've worked on in the past decade that I definitely would like to talk about and get into. On the topic of children's themed films and children secret headquarters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's oh my gosh.
More
That's
recent.
that's
Yeah.
Spy Kids meets Goonies kind of
Exactly.
feel to it.
Exactly.
And again, the kids were kids and they were so great. Michael Pena, Owen Wilson. We worked with Jesse Williams almost every single day for months with his scars. And yeah, it was great to work on that. Everybody came together. The sets were just built in a food court of a mall. So that whole
It's the same mall from Stranger Things, which is actually, I believe, the same mall from Electric State as well,
we
because
think
they
that's
shot that in
it's the
Georgia,
same,
and
but
it's a mall that's just there for shooting.
literally.
So the whole headquarters,
awesome.
that whole headquarters was built in there.
2 stories, but it's not really. It's like 2 stories of a mall.
Okay.
So
it's built in the
giant.
atrium of the mall.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
giant.
And
you could walk all of this stuff all the way around. The lights in the walls.
Yeah,
They did the caves with the suit. Just holy smokes, everything.
If I had a place to put it, and this is always that way on a movie set like of that nature. If I had a place to put it, like I would have begged for any of the cool computer console set pieces or any of that, like just to bring back and have it, lit up
sit around
the monitors, and it looks all cool.
We got some stuff,
Nothing like that.
Well,
though, but
no, actually, mostly what we have here is, I don't know if you can see it all the way in the back, hanging on the wall. That wood piece is from The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's from the living room, and Bob wanted that, so I contacted people right away because we wrapped and they were going to start tearing it down the next day.
Yeah,
and there was a statuary room where Nell is dancing by herself around, she's doing that. It's like a whole dream sequence kind of thing. And it's a statuary room. And on the wall of the statuary room was a saying. And I asked Flanagan about it. I was like, what dreams may come? And he said, yeah, no one said that. No one even recognized it. I said, well, it's William Shakespeare and what dreams may come used it. He was blown away. So I asked for that section. So we have that section on the wall, which is great.
That's another kind of a kid's show. I mean, we had the ensemble cast of kids.
Huge.
And The Haunting as well. So
in fact, there's basically the adults, and then there's the teens, and then the kids. We had a lot more kids actually than we did adults, which was great. They were so professional, so great. It just, that was a really good experience as well.
Awesome. The thing I wanted to say about Secret Headquarters is it reminded me of like the 90s.
What's that?
90s shows, yeah.
90s.
Oh yeah.
Like the 90s, that's the era I really grew up in.
Mhm.
And I remember, like it really up until like the early 2000s, like you said, Spy Kids meets Goonies had a real Spy Kids feel too, but like
Spy Kids 1, 2, and 3 are here.
yeah, exactly.
Coincidentally.
And there's something about like the children's films from the 90s and like early 2000s that aren't the same about like children's films of today.
Right.
For the most part, like there's a lot of subcontext. There's adult themes, I mean, even the 80s, I mean, the never ending story,
Oh,
for
yeah.
instance.
Yeah.
But
Also, back in the 80s, the kids were smoking and swearing more in the movies.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well,
Like Stand By Me, even, and whatever.
Right.
difference is because I grew up in the 80s. Well, we didn't have phones. We had TV, of course.
Yeah.
We didn't have computers and phones, and we made our own adventures.
Right.
We had a small copse of woods that somebody built some kind of rickety shed thing. There were guys that would go in it because I found nudie magazines a couple of times. And then me and my girlfriends and a couple of guys, we would it was like our club. And we didn't have a club, but we just stopped there every once in a while and hang out and chat. And it was where we could actually talk about stuff. It was almost a neutral place.
Right.
You always assume that guys want to kiss you as girls, and guys always think that girls want to be kissed. And it was so funny because in that little area, we didn't have that angst. We didn't have any of that. We literally were talking like human to human and just that really cool bonding interaction. I don't know that kids have that right now.
Well, I know they're stuck on their phones, but I mean, back in those films that you're talking about, even Secret Headquarters had some of that kind of stuff without going too much into kids being glued to their cell phones and stuff.
Yeah.
But those movies had a sense of the kids would get out of the house and create things, almost like the Our Gang field. They'd go out and build go-karts or do things neighborhood and build things to as an offshoot of their imagination. Like for us, like when we were kids, we had a tree house that my dad built, whatever. That became our kind of spaceship or submarine or whatever. It was always a hatch door in the bottom, and that was we'd play Fantastic Voyage, We'd make these like helmets with, it would be a Quaker Oats container on your back for the scuba gear, is that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really gravitate toward those kind of movies and those kind of kids. So.
We love the innocence. You've got that in Marshmallow. You have that.
Right.
So, you don't know the backstories in the beginning, but you do see that innocence of different ages interacting and trying to find their place at the camp. And obviously we have Morgan, who's shy, scared, and all of that. And it definitely captured the dynamic of different personalities at a camp. And I think that was really on Andy, our writer, on his part. I think that was a great description of those characters and bringing them together. How would they interact? I think perfectly how he wrote it. They would interact just like that. So yeah.
Definitely. And I actually have a funny story about Andy Palmer.
Andy Palmer.
Yeah.
That was our editor. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it must have been shortly after we did our first interview, but I had two short H.P. Lovecraft scripts that I adapted that one was made it to a quarterfinalist, the other made it to the finalist, which is what got me into the festival. But I went to Shriek Fest in 2018. I didn't win, but I made it as a finalist for my adaptation of
Cool.
The Terrible Old Man. and Andy's film Camp Coldbrook won at the festival.
Okay.
So I actually met him there, and we're friends on Facebook, and that's just a funny, you know,
It's a small world.
Yeah.
Small world.
Six
Totally.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So,
Exactly.
So,
6 degrees of fish.
we actually did a film, The Funhouse Massacre.
Right.
Robert Englund has a cameo in it, and horror comedy at its finest. Andy directed that so well. It was so great to work. That's the first time I worked with Andy. I think you were. Did you work with Andy before that?
No, that was the first time too. Yeah.
Yeah, he directed that.
But
that was a lot of fun.
Segueing into that, it was with Danny Del Purgatorio. We had done Danny's short films and some commercial campaigns for him over the years prior to this movie getting off the ground. So that was like very exciting to be able to, we've done scheduled short films, which were always very high in production value and very entertaining as shorts.
Yeah.
And so we knew that, if he was going to do a feature, it was going to be something worth doing.
Yeah,
so
we'd want to be involved with it. So, we actually were on another show that shut down, and we were only supposed to do 3 days on Marshmallow. And when that other show shut down, I called the producer, Warner, and Warner's great. We've worked with him since Funhouse Massacre as well, and on several things. And I called and I said, hey, lost our show. We can do more than 3 days. Do you have people yet? And they said, no, we don't have people. And I said, well, we're available. And they said, we can't afford you. I said, no, you don't understand. This is our opportunity to work with Danny, and we would love to be involved with his first feature. And we would have loved to do it from the beginning, the whole thing, but our schedule, their schedule. So it worked out. And not only did we do makeup and makeup effects, we also did hair department, which was incredibly challenging for stunt wigs. But luckily, it was so great. Just the two of us working on it.
It was just, like I said, we had a great time. I mean, it was a great atmosphere because
everybody worked together.
Yeah, and we were on one location, which was great. We weren't moving around in trailers, different locations every day trying to set up. We set up our makeup room in one of the cabins, one of the office cabins, and then that became our hub for the entire show. So, and basically you're working around a summer camp, so you're basically pulling wagons around to the different cabins and set areas, which was great because we weren't loading cars and moving around. It was very cool.
Awesome. I have a couple questions about two really. One is one of my top actually new favorite Stephen King films, Dr. Sleep, and the other Stephen King film, Gerald's Game. I have a personal story about that. I had a neighbor growing up who was handicapped, and the guy was a martial artist, somebody that pretty much did everything with like their body and their hands. And he got unfortunately struck by a car and was bound to a wheelchair up until, his death in the late 90s. And he was really big in the movies. And I remember seeing a lot of films with him and my dad. And he had the novel of Gerald's Game that he gave to me, and I still have like the original hardback copy of it. I was always like, just by the cover of it, too like freaked out, especially, back in the 90s when you're like a little kid, and I had just come off seeing the first Pet Cemetery on TV that messed me up. I was like really intimidated to like read the book, and I finally did, and I'm really happy that there was a film adaptation, especially with that film and also with Dr. Sleep. I love Stephen King, and I can't confirm this for sure, but when I was at his funeral, I could have sworn Stephen King was there.
No kidding.
You know, he was one of those people that was big when, like, you know, the internet first came out, and, you know, being bound to a wheelchair and, you know, having access to the internet. You know, it's amazing who you can meet in chat rooms and stuff.
Well,
But
I have a personal connection with Gerald's Game as well, because I started out, I think the first one was King Game.
Excuse me.
And I believe I was only like 13 or 14. And my mom didn't have restrictions on what I read, because once I started reading at like 11 and read my first whole book, which was Charlotte's Web, I moved on to Agatha Christie and Stephen King. And Carrie was my first book I read. And I remember giggling and saying to mom, "Dirty pillows," and then she read the book, and then we had conversations. So it opened up that conversation with my mom about mature things and all of that. So we were always very close reading. But Gerald's Game, I started reading the first couple of chapters, and I said, I love Stephen King. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I never read it. Then I started working for Bob, and he said, "Hey, we got a new script," and he throws a copy on my desk, and I went, "Oh, hell no." And then I read it, and Mike's adaptation was just, holy smokes, so smart, so just right.
It was very smart, you know, ditching some of the other elements that were in the book,
Consolidating characters
to make it really about the two of them, the three of them with the Moonlight Man, but and then eliminating all the other weird stuff that is going on in her mind.
Yeah.
But
this was very, oh my gosh. No, we loved it. Actually, that was another one. We loved working on that. So big family.
The reason both of those films are some of my newer, like, more favorite horror films, but especially King films, is because, you know, it just, everything is, like, for the most part, either a reboot or a remake. And I mean, in my opinion, and I may get a lot of hate for this, but every remake that they have done so far is not as good as the original. You know, I mean, it was, part one and part two was okay, but I didn't like how they made Pennywise like basically Freddy Krueger, which he's not supposed to be.
Right.
And Tim Curry was, I mean, I have like a recurring like clown nightmare that's like a mixture of like Tim Curry's It and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It varies, like, in, you know, when the dream happens. Like, sometimes I'm in the you know, circus spaceship. Sometimes it's, you know, Tim Curry haunting my dreams as Pennywise. But, you know, both those films were like, especially the Tim Curry Ed, and everybody that was in that, and just, even though it was like a mini series, like, it's still way scarier than, you know, the remake they did. Pet Cemetery, you know, I saw it in theaters. It was all right, but, like, you know, I made it through to the end with like not being disturbed, you know.
Right.
And to this day, I still can't like make it through the original Pet Cemetery. Pet Cemetery 2, fine, you know, no problem. One of my favorite, you know, 90s horror films, especially with Edward Furlong. It was big back then. Brain Scan, another one.
I think there's a big like most of those movies are still scarier to me than the new remakes, and it's because the age I was when I saw them and the era which I saw them.
Right.
And today I'm so, like, there's nothing new or magical half the time, because you know they can do almost anything with a movie anymore. So, like, visually, so you're like, it's not surprising. Whereas when I was a kid, all those movies surprised me. It's been like Pet Cemetery too, because I had the little kid Cage who was, you know, freaked everybody out, because it's like first time I saw a little kid with a knife and he's dead and whatever.
Miko Hughes.
Yeah.
I think
it was also in.
I think
we did a Nightmare on Elm Street.
Desensitized, but kind of. And sometimes I have to explain and because we've been around for a while, we've seen a lot of movies, but if you cut to getting kids' reactions like 16, 17, even 14-year-olds to some of the newer stuff, they're like blown away. So you have to have that perspective. But unfortunately, that's a small percentage of people who are watching the movies and paying for them and going to the theater because they can drive. So I think filmmakers need to be aware of that you literally have to take into consideration the bulk
There's
of us.
definitely a difference between watching it at home and watching it at theater.
That too.
I watch it because a lot of times I'll skip a movie in the theater. It's not like, something that might not be, top of my radar, but I was like, I want to see that. And then I'll wait to watch it on TV. But the fact that you can pause it, go to the bathroom, get it, whatever, you can do these breaks, or even like we go, oh, we're sleeping now. We're going to watch the next half tomorrow. That breaks the momentum and the build up and everything. So it affects you totally differently. And everybody now is watching on their phones and iPads, doing the same thing. So
we have not, how do I want to say, compromised so much that we watch anything smaller than a TV. We don't watch on a laptop either. I've watched a couple of things, and it's weird because it just
episodic. We can do that with.
It just doesn't have the same impact.
I completely agree. I mean,
I saw Independence Day at the theater, and two things about that. I didn't know what it was about. If I start watching a trailer and I like it in the first 2 seconds,
she makes me shut it off.
Yeah, I do this, or I tell him, don't show me. So I went to Independence Day not knowing, but Independence Day in the theater is a whole nother ball game.
Oh, yeah.
The impact of that is incredible. Everything is big, everything like explosions, this and that. But you really get immersed in a movie more when you're at a theater. I mean, we're big proponents in trying to keep theaters going because they are having a big problem. So resurgence, let's keep going to the theater. I mean, it's such a difference.
It's the communal thing, like
God,
having at home, and why
the two of us kind of agree on everything.
I mean, we don't jump and then laugh at everybody in the theaters, like laughing at themselves. Jump. Rarely do I jump watching it on television.
I just want to say one thing. We worked on Haunting of Hill House. We know there's a big jump scare in there. We watched it happen, and he jumps every single time we watch that episode.
That is one show I watched on television, but that show, every element of that show was engaging and
that's true,
and creepy, and it hit all the buttons perfectly. And that was a rarity when I'm watching television.
But anyway.
Well, the thing I wanted to say that was actually that brought me to the theater, but at the same time, I only feel like I got the best benefit out of it when I bought it on Blu-ray and watched it in its entirety, which was Dr. Sleep.
With the director's cut.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so much better because it has that little bit more of character development with the little girl and stuff.
Yep.
Yes.
Makes it work.
It's just
I could tell in the theatrical cut a lot must have been cut from this movie because some of the stuff was just a little quick and how it happens. And then first of all, when I heard there was a director's cut, I was like, yes. Like for the first time, like in I don't know how many years have I been excited to see like an actual director's cut of a film. And this is like a rare experience because this is like a brand new movie, like, when it was released on Blu-ray, however many, couple years ago now. But I, like the original Shining is another one of those movies that like mess with me as a kid.
It's in here.
Yes. And if it wasn't for the score for that movie, it wouldn't be as scary as it was. And I have to say something about the master late filmmaker Stanley Kubrick. Every one of his films had like just a masterful score. Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, The Shining,
Yeah. In The
um,
Shining, it's another character. It
exactly.
literally is the equivalent of another character, bringing you into that space and really putting you in the mood and getting your head straight in it. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
That's well,
Right.
it's pretty epic too.
Yes, yes. And I like with the director's cut how they cut it into chapters. Like it's like a book,
Right.
Yeah.
and here's where I'm also going to get a lot of probably slack, but I get where Stephen King was coming from with wanting to do it from his mini series because, as much as I love Jack Nicholson, the late Shelley Duvall, and the original Kubrick film, I do like the mini series more.
Oh,
Like I think the Kubrick film is a masterpiece in terms of like a movie version, but I thought the miniseries flushed out, more like it's the fact that it was, 4 parts. They had a little more time to.
That the Mick Garris series, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Mick's. Yeah, because that's the only one I think they did so
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
No, there was that. Did you read the book for Dr. Sleep?
I did.
Okay. So you know that the Overlook wasn't in the book.
Right,
That
right.
Mike talked Stephen.
Right,
into
exactly,
that.
exactly. That's
Well,
actually why I brought that up because the mini series is, of the original Shining is a little more closer to the book. And I know that the story apparently was that King wanted to like, base it off the mini series or something along those lines. And I know that Mike talked them into saying,
well, he pitched him one scene, and as far as I recollect,
Yeah.
pitched him one scene, and it was a scene where the Jack Nicholson character is now bartending at the
at the Overlook.
the Overlook, right.
and young
Ewan McGregor,
Ewan McGregor
older Danny.
is talking to his own father, who's not doesn't quite realize he's
That's
Right.
that's yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And they have that conversation at the bar,
Yeah.
and Stephen was so hooked on that idea that he said, "Okay, put the Overlook back in."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. A really fun story is because again we worked on Dr. Sleep together and got to know the characters and the actors. Robert Longstreet had a birthday during the filming of Dr. Sleep, and so a bunch of the actors were getting together, and because Robert and Bob have kind of a bromance thing, they're adorable. Robert's amazing, and they invited us to come to the birthday party. And it happens to be at a restaurant in Atlanta that we adore. And we also knew during the filming of Haunting of Hill House, Henry Thomas loved as well. Long story short, we're getting into the party. We're having fun. We had dinner and drinks and just, it was such a great time. And in walks this bald man as Henry Thomas. And we all lost it and started
we're like,
screaming
"What
because
the?" Because we didn't know what party was playing,
we knew he was coming and
and
we weren't sure that that's
Yeah.
what it was, but he shaved his head so they could put a hairpiece on. There's a part where he's dragging the axe and I bloodied his head and we got the blood on the axe right and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was a shock and that was such a great time. I have some selfies with him and we've got pictures of the guys with them bald, which is crazy. I don't think I've ever shown any of those pictures. And of course, Henry, being a professional, he's like, you don't post those. And I'm like, it's just not even a thing,
Right,
no,
right.
that was really great. But honestly, again, a Mike Flanagan production, that bar room, we were in the Overlook lobby. They built all of that. It was fantastic.
it was pretty spectacular.
Pinch yourself.
Yeah, it was everything down to the detail, recreation of
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Even the bar room, the gold room.
Yeah.
And as they were building, we go in every few weeks.
Yeah.
and onto
take a
the
peek.
stage to take a peek. And
Yeah.
every week it was like, oh my God, there's more stuff.
Just,
And
yeah.
oh, there's paint now
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
I just looked through something the other day and I was standing in the fireplace.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a picture of me standing in the fireplace.
About that. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I was 20 pounds lighter then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. One of the really cool moments was driving on the lot one day and they had the carpet rolled out in a parking lot, full length, all of the carpet. And we were freaking out. Just there it is.
Yeah.
There's the carpet. There's, oh my gosh. It just, all of it. It just, during the filming, Alex Esso doing Shelley Duvall's part with the door.
Right.
It wasn't a huge amount of us because I think it was kind of like a second team kind of thing that we're filming it. But all of us that were standing there, holding on to each other's arms, holding hands, just gripping, going, she's nailing it. It just was.
He's knocking the hole through the door.
He's knocking. We were all like, holy smokes.
Like, this is so cool.
Amazing. We're watching this happen. And she killed it. Like, she just did such a good job.
And then, of course, we all, since the tape was done, we were all getting our pictures.
Taken through the door with the axe.
Johnny.
Right.
So the stunt coordinator is like, all right, you guys, get your heads out of the jagged door.
Everybody out there, go check out Marshmallow. It's a great film, a lot of fun, and I think the fans will enjoy it. So it was a pleasure to work on, and it was great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me.
All right. I love it.
Last two questions. What are some of your favorite films in general? Doesn't have to be horror.
Okay.
And then I know we have Marshmallow coming out and Creature Feature weekend this coming weekend. Any other projects to promote as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, sure.
About?
Let's do the favorite films first for me. I mean, there's several. I'm going to put them up there for experiences. I got 4, actually, of like my favorite experiences at a movie theater. And of course, there's Jaws. The other one would be Aliens, the second Aliens film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. Those are the 4 or 5 my favorite movies.
Raiders, The Thing, The Exorcist. Those are my top 3. I'm like those are what come to mind in like a heartbeat. Yeah.
And then what was stuff we have coming out? We have we have a movie called the Johnny Ryan movie that we don't really can't say anything more about it yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we did a film called Goons last year that should be coming out this year as well. So there we go. We got 3 movies coming out this year, probably.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Robert, Marcy, thank you so much for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me. I hope the temperature was just right.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you.
We'll see you around soon.
Definitely.
All right.
Take care. Bye. Hey there, all my fishes in the sea. Thanks for tuning into today's episode and for being a subscriber. Your continued listenership and support means the most and helps keep the show growing to deeper and deeper depths. I want to let all my guppies in the sea know the Fisch Bowl has now officially partnered with FastCustomShirts.com, where they're now selling custom Fisch Bowl t-shirts under their podcast and website section. Every t-shirt that's purchased helps and goes a long way to keep the show growing to deeper and deeper and higher depths. I also now have custom hats, beanies, handbags, pens, mouse pads, everything to make you look like the coolest looking fish in the sea, which you can DM me directly on Instagram at the Fisch Bowl 88 or on Facebook at just the Fisch Bowl, or you can friend request me, Sam Fish, directly and get yours today. Your continued listenership and support again means the most. It's the most important fishes that flock together. We are a school of fish and we keep the unit going. Let's all keep swimming upstream.